as the crackling arcane energy illuminates the ship itself. You realize that you are surrounded by clouds. The deck is wet and slippery, and an enormous balloon towers over your head. You can see off to your right as you exit onto the space that there is a smaller ship that is currently in the process of circling you and attacking. Clearly the assailant that had almost killed you and your owlbear companion with an array of cannonball shots. As you step onto the deck, you hear a pirate to your left from behind cover yelling out towards an individual you can see who is currently steering the ship, calling out, "Creel! Creel! They're here! The escapees, they're here!" Clearly alarmed to an extent that you had in fact escaped yourselves, probably from the individual that escaped your grasps earlier. We are immediately going to go into initiative, as the deck itself is littered with various pirates seemingly trying to maintain the structure of this area. There are a number that emerge from various corners to engage your group. As Captain Creel, a tall blue dragonborn, jumps from the podium, another pirate taking his place at the wheel, and we will start initiative. Max, hit us with that initiative check, my dude. Okay, so 7 plus 5 brings us to 12. As this combat breaks out and Creel moves down to engage your group, as there are currently now only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 targets. So we're starting with Roga. Moving forward is going to rush towards the creature on your left and attempt to make an attack with the staff. Natural 20. So you hear this loud thwack as your turtle companion smacks this creature, and it impacts the side of these crates behind which it was previously hiding. As you hear the cracking of bone and splintering of wood. We are then at the deck wizard, who is going to take a brief moment to stop concentrating on maintaining a strange arcane barrier that you see surrounding the balloon that seems to be keeping the airship aloft. So that is going to be a ray of frost. So this is going to be against Trank. Does not hit. We are then at you, chat, Villandria. Okay, so you Hunter's Mark Creel with your bonus action, and then with your action, you loose an arrow, moving ever so slightly to get a better angle towards Captain Creel, who you are assuming at this point possesses the artifact that you are trying to acquire. Okay, so that is a total of 16, 17 to hit, because you now have a magical +1 longbow, which is the exact armor class that you need to meet in order to hit the target. So you loose the arrow. It soars across the deck, slicing through heavy raindrops as it passes through the air, slamming into Creel's shoulder, dealing 13 points of damage. A significant blow against the captain of the ship as he strides towards you. Okay, so you take cover behind the crates here, shielding yourself from attackers from at least the forward angles. That brings us to Captain Creel's turn. Creel strides forward and is going to, first of all, so drawing a hand crossbow, and you see as you peek around the corner, pulling from a pouch on his right, he cradles in his enormous clawed fist a glowing orb that crackles with arcane energy, similar to the one that you had seen upon being suddenly transported to this world that is not your own. He turns, fires one shot towards Trank, as he can't currently get a mark on you. That is a miss. He continues to move forwards in your direction. So he just shouts to you around the corner, "I know why you're here and what you're here for. You're gonna have to stop hiding like a mouse if you're to wrestle this from me." Bringing us then to number 3, which is going to move around the back, trying to get an angle on you. Fires off a shot. Does not hit. You hear a short bow arrow zooming past your cape behind your head. Not close enough to worry you, but close enough to alert you to the presence of an archer to the side. So, stepping forward, seemingly jumping down from tying a couple of ropes on this slight elevation at one of the masts and moving forward, better armored and wielding a much more impressive and immaculate longsword, moves to attack Bobuk the chef, shouting, "Traitor!" Then we are going to see if they hit. Does not hit! And that brings us to the top of initiative. So that brings us then to the deck wizard. That is going to... Apparating from the center of this wizard, there is a large 20-foot radius fog that emerges. That then brings us to your turn, chat. Enveloped in a smoky mist that completely obscures your vision. You can only see the crates in front of you and nothing more. Okay, we'll go with the most voted for regardless. So, moving out of the fog field, there are still crew who are bumbling around you, engaged with the pirates that you had rescued before. However, you cannot see anybody inside. Okay, so we are opting to hold at the moment. So you hold your bow ready to attack the first thing you see. That brings us then to Creel, who, funnily enough, emerges immediately in front of you as you wait. So you get to make your shot. The fog cloud seemingly giving just enough cover for this captain to approach you without being interfered with. Chrysanthus, hit us with the attack roll. A natural. Cass was not lying, apparently. So as the Dragonborn emerges from the fog, you are holding ready for anything. And in this moment, seeing a face that you expected, you have your bow lined up straight for the head. And as you shoot, the arrow doesn't even travel far. It's almost as if they emerge immediately in front of your face, and then you just let go of the arrow and it just goes chunk straight into the side of the head, scraping through and seemingly sticking between some scales, not doing fatal amounts of damage, but doing a significant amount as Creel recoils in pain. Clearly not expecting such a devastating blow at such short range. That then brings us to what he is going to do on his actual turn. So he draws a long sword and attempts to attack you, two-handing the weapon to do more damage. It's a 16, that's a hit. Attacking twice, that is a total of a 13. So the second attack not hitting. So the first attack strikes you, and you immediately, instinctively move back, stepping out of the way of the second blow. You take 10 points of damage, leaving you at 8 health out of 18. Returning in kind, a fairly severe blow. Creel looks up at you, blood trickling down the left side of his face, and just chuckles. That brings us to Alaric, who is going to... You see a faint glowing from within the mist itself. And as this light gets brighter from where you remember Alaric being, you watch the fog as it starts to slowly dissipate, as it is dispelled, leaving only wisps of air behind. Okay, so we are back at the top of initiative now. You hear the sound of a roaring somewhere in the distance, and soon followed by the crackling of lightning and a thunderous boom somewhere off to the right side of the ship. You watch as passing through the clouds is an enormous silhouette, winged, clawed, and as big as the ship itself, at least as far as you can tell from where you're standing. A creature that you are familiar with, but you have no idea as to its allegiance or its reason for being here. A dragon floating through the clouds, now revealing at this point possibly the source of this aggravated lightning storm. One thing that you are noticing at this point is that although this wizard seems to be doing something, it doesn't seem to be keeping the ship aloft. As you have been observing the battle as it's taking place, with the enemy ship constantly circling and surrounding, at this point seemingly not firing on your ship, simply observing the battle taking place, possibly hoping that you and your group will take care of the battle without doing any more damage to the ship's integrity itself. It seems as though this deck wizard is only in charge of maintaining the shield, which protects the balloon from being shot by cannon fire. Assured at this point that the deck wizard is not necessary for flight. And we are now at your turn, chat. You are now aware that a dragon has appeared in the clouds and is now circling the ship. And you are aware that the second ship itself is now seemingly taking a more passive observation role, seeing how this fight unfolds. You have Captain Creel surrounded from 3 angles at this point. And everybody else on the ship is seemingly too occupied to come to Creel's aid. What would you like to do? Choosing to attack one of the targets alive that is not already surrendered. You make your attack against Creel, possibly finishing him off at this point. You're not entirely sure. And you needed a dice roll from chat. Slippy 313, hit us with a dice roll, please. Okay, here we go. So, eyeing up Cree, realizing he's wounded from multiple angles, multiple parts of his body, you realize you're able to land the killing blow. Would you like to spare Creel or kill him? Opening up the poll, as Creel is essentially not begging for his life, but essentially in a position where he is unable to fight. Okay, so choosing to spare Creel's life, you kneel down next to him as he coughs up blood splattering over the ground, and you raise his head, his chin, to meet your gaze. And then you reach down into the pouch at his side and pull the glistening arcane orb. Your prize, the one thing you'd been looking for at least 2 months now, desperately searching the continent for someone with some knowledge about what the source might be and how it might help you to get home again. The rest of the ship surrenders, and we will exit initiative. Creel passes out on the ground. Trenk makes a decent effort to stabilize so that Creel is not at risk of bleeding out. You do, however, still have a dragon that is seemingly circling the entirety of this battle as the ship now starts to pull in to allow boarding between the 2 vessels. As the ship gets closer, you notice that there are individuals that are currently weapons drawn, standing on the bow. As this captain steps over from the opposing ship, which I'm just going to move real quick, you're greeted with the sight of a very well-dressed, remarkably so for a pirate, human man, perhaps in his early 40s, hair tied back, of jet black hair, clothed in regal blue and red colors, gold-lined, wearing a fairly ornate cape, seemingly a lot better off than the average pirate might be. This individual introduces themselves as Hazan, a bounty hunter, is surprised initially that you haven't heard of them, but looks down to the thing that you hold and asks you a question. You don't intend to keep that, do you? It seems that we came here for the same thing. Seems you've had quite a difficult ordeal here. Wouldn't want to spoil it. This captain, Hazan, clearly after the item that you now hold. Through all of this that you've been through, this was the one goal. What do you do, chat? Okay, so you decide to ask Hazan why he's after this orb, explaining that it's very, very important to you. Oh, well, it's actually not me. I'm sort of the backup, you see. It's really that one that's after the orb. Hazan clearly having a benefactor of sorts as this dragon continues to circle your ship as you've both come to a reasonably slow pace. You are aware, if this person is telling the truth, that the dragon itself is the one that is after this orb. So, are you asking for clarity? Are you asking for proof that that him and the dragon are aligned? Is that the question? Okay. So, this individual, Hazan, pulls out a whistle from underneath the cloak, blowing on it, seemingly imperceptibly. However, Alaric, kind of the hair all over Alaric just stands up on end, the back arching. You wait a couple of seconds as the dragon begins to circle, getting closer and closer, and then perches on the side of the ship. And there are also not multiple heads, but we won't worry about that one, chat. It's the best I can do given the circumstances. So a dragon with definitely one head lands on the side of the ship.
You called. What is it? What's the problem?
As this enormous blue dragon speaks out, the rumbling voice vibrating your chests and causing the entire ship to shake. Hazan explains that you're in possession of the orb and that you seemingly do not want to give the orb up. The dragon demands you offer the orb, or it will rend your ship from the sky, leaving you on it to whatever fate may have in store. So, what do you do? I hate that eat orb is now on the table. That's awful. You would not be able to eat the orb, chat. I can tell you right now, your mouth is not that big. So, choosing to throw the orb off the side of the ship, you raise it as if offering up to the dragon itself, then you turn suddenly, and in defiance, you throw the orb off the edge. The dragon, eyes completely wide, then looks to you, looks to the orb, and then dives off the side of the ship. There are a couple moments that pass as Hazan looks to you with complete shock, and he just goes, "Oh, you should not have done that." You hear a crackling boom coming from somewhere below you. You watch the surrounding clouds illuminating in shocking white light, encompassing the entire area, bit by bit rising up, and then suddenly you feel and you hear the slam of lightning into the bottom of your ship. An enormous hole appearing, not just in the bottom of the ship around its center, but rending the balloon from the air. Very quickly, the ship begins to lose control, losing altitude, constantly spinning. I need you to give me a strength saving throw as you attempt to grab something so that you are not thrown from the ship. This rolls too much pressure. Yeah, some people are just like, no, dude, I'm out. Savannah! I'm so sorry to do this to you, Savannah. Please give me a roll in the chat. Okay, you rush over, attempting to grab onto something, but you are thrown to the back of the ship. Whatever surface within reach, you try to grab out. You try to find anything that will keep you from flying into the unknown skies, unaware of how far down the ground might be. And then your grip loosens. Falling from the ship, you spin and you spin, unable to gain any kind of control over your rotational momentum as you fall through the sky. So, eventually, the sheer force of the air up against you causes you to black out. You think to yourself, well, that's it. Maybe if I won't be able to get home in life, maybe I will in death. I am going to need a series of rolls from you, chat. Skrit, please give us our first death saving throw, please.